right, welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry about that quick intermission. We just wanted to make sure that players are going to be playing with that doubles format, not the singles, because that'd be something real interesting. Like completely forget about the random and the interesting Pokemon that we might see. Just single battles.
Single battles. You know, it's a new year, new format, new stipend period.
Yeah, new of a lot of things, but not new in terms of how players are going to battle. It is still going to be that doubles, select four format that everybody knows and loves from Pokemon VGC, and that's exactly what we're going to try to make happen today.
Yeah. Speaking of making it happen, I believe we're about ready to start round one soon. Now, as we said, Andrew Nowak versus Whitney Johnson. Both of these teams are really cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
we're gonna see some pretty fun Pokemon from either side.
Yeah, so I mean, we were talking about that a little bit before that break. Is there are some interesting choices that players and trainers are kind of bringing to the table, and we're gonna see some of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we're going to go ahead and head right over there. I think the players are finally ready to go. Their battle boxes are re-locked and ready to rumble. And I think they're just, getting their pre-games,
Pre-game rituals in, Looks like they're excited to go. We are too.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good day when Pokemon is involved.
Right.
All right, so I don't think that any of these teams look familiar, which is
they
great.
They should not.
So, the question that I asked before about whether or not we're going to see some of those same teams that Top Cut, I think we were wrong. So
far, we are not seeing the same teams. We're seeing two pretty interesting teams. Both of these teams utilizing Pokemon you haven't really seen much in this format at all. We're going to see... Team preview will be coming up soon, but Whitney is using an Excelgor, which is something that got a little bit of use in 2018 thanks to its Unburden ability and access to some pretty cool moves. We have a Togekiss on Andrew's side as well, so another Pokemon it's been pretty good in years past, but just hasn't really seen much use at all.
Yeah, and I wonder how Andrew's going to utilize that Togekiss, because I feel like it's a very flexible Pokemon. It can either be kind of a support Pokemon, or it can be more of a damage dealer. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of plays with that and integrates that into the team composition. But here we are as a part of Team Preview. So we told you about the interesting Mons that are there. Let's talk to you about all of them that are going to be battling it out here. So Whitney is going to have a Xerneas and a Mungus. Like that. There's that Excelgor again, the Kyogre, Tapu Lele, and Kartana. And then Andrew has that Solgaleo, the Incineroar, Venusaur, Tapu Koko, Groudon, and that Togekiss.
Yeah, so the Excelgor and the Tapu Lele will likely be brought together. Generally, what Excelgor does is it makes use of its Unburden ability, and it'll be carrying the Psychic Seed most likely. And so when Tapu Lele and Excelgor are both on the field, the Psychic Seed will boost Excelgor's special defense, but more importantly activate Unburden, which means it will double its already very high speed. It's one of the fastest Pokemon in the game, regardless of Unburden. But with that Unburden boost, it'll be outspeeding stuff like boosted Xerneas, most Pokemon in Tailwind, and so it's a very, very nice tool to have when you want to be winning at Speed War.
Yeah, that Speed War is important, and we talked about this a little bit too, that Trick Room is still a viable strategy in this format, but it doesn't look like that's something that they have to worry about.
Yeah, no, I think the only Pokemon on either of these teams that can learn Trick Room is the Solgaleo on Andrew's side, but it doesn't really look like his team is one that's built to take advantage of Trick Room.
No, a lot of the Pokemon that he's running really do want to be fast.
Right.
So,
like this Tapu Koko we see right now.
Yeah, that Tapu Koko is coming out on that field super hot with that Solgaleo in tow and going to be battling it out against that Xerneas and a Mungus. Interesting choice there. Maybe just to be able to set up that Geomancy?
Yeah, I'm sure that's what Whitney was going for. Xerneas plus a Mungus. That Rage Powder will be able to redirect any attack from the Koko or the Solgaleo. And so Xerneas will likely be able to get a Geomancy up this turn if that's what Whitney would like to do.
So maybe utilizing that Rage... Maybe if Mungus kind of classically runs Rage Powder as one of its 4 movesets.
And there it is.
Yeah, there it is. So calling it right now, it looks like...
Ooh. That's big.
That is big. Taking that Amoonguss out of the fight means that tank kind of damage soaker just isn't there anymore on Whitney's side.
And it negates the redirection too. So we're gonna, if this Solgaleo decided to go for something like its, Searing Sunray Smash, or even just a Sunsteel Strike into the Xerneas, it'll be able to without any issue at all.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna see that Geomancy go off, and there is that Sunsteel Strike. Don't even need a Z Crystal in order to do so much damage with that move, and it is absolutely finding its mark on the Xerneas, doing so much. Not able to take it all the way, though.
Just barely misses the knockout, but that's still a huge turn for Andrew. The Amoonguss, since it got picked up, Rage Powder gets canceled. Skydrop itself ignores Rage Powder, and so if he decided to Skydrop the other slot, it would have worked there as well. But, a very smart play on Andrew's end. Picking up the Amoonguss so it couldn't do any Rage Powdering, and then deciding to go for damage into that Xerneas. Barely missing the knockout, but, since Amoonguss is up in the air, it can't Rage Powder this turn either. And so if Andrew wants to go for another Sunsteel Strike into that Xerneas, he will be able to freely. If he wants to try and make some kind of call as to Xerneas protecting, he can try and double attack the Amoonguss on the way down. But the important thing to know right now is that Electric Terrain being up means that Amoonguss can't do any sporing either, and so Andrew's team is pretty safe on this turn.
Yeah, Andrew definitely looks like they're in a very good position. Xerneas just gonna go ahead and try to do some damage onto the Solgaleo, but it takes it barely over half. Skydrop coming down, and Amoonguss is finally freed from that grasp, but Solgaleo, I think, looking to finish the job here. Another Sunsteel Strike. Gonna find its target, on that Xerneas, and that Xerneas is now down and out of this fight, so Whitney's gonna have to rely on some other damage dealer in order to take down Andrew's Pokemon. Yeah,
that's another big turn for Andrew. He clears out that Xerneas. The Xerneas being a big threat and it being off the field is pretty great for Andrew. The Solgaleo resisting Moonblast still takes over half, so that might be an indication that it's more of an offensive variant. A lot of times they can run, bulkier sets that might have Trick Room, but, considering how much damage that Sunsteel Strike did to a bulky Pokemon like Xerneas, and the amount of damage it took from that Moonblast, it might be on the more offensive end.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Andrew has typed it so that Solgaleo can do that amount of damage. I mean, even if you had taken the Tapu Koko and you had put some chip damage into that Xerneas would have been knocked out in that first turn.
Right, yeah, no, there is plenty of options for Andrew there. This Kyogre could be a threat, though. If it's carrying that common Choice Scarf item, it will be able to outspeed and knock out both of these Pokemon. So, knocking out the Xerneas is nice, but it did give Whitney that free switch in the Kyogre, and so what was a good position could be now a more dangerous one.
Yeah, and you're going to see that Andrew's not going to take any chances here, going to take Groudon out and going to remove the weather from the field, putting it in his favor with that sunny day.
It's actually double switching too into the Togekiss as well, so
interesting.
Very smart play to bring the sun in, weaken the damage from that Kyogre, possibly bringing the Togekiss in because he knows it's bulkier and can take a sun hindered water spout decently well.
Yeah, well, now we've seen all 4 of Andrew's Pokemon, and that water spout's actually going to do quite a bit of damage to that Groudon. Not quite half.
Nope.
But very, very close, and it means that, if you double into it, even with a Kartana that might not have a super effective move against it, you're still going to be they're still going to be knocking out that Groudon.
Yeah, another Water Spout plus something like a Leaf Blade from Kartana will definitely finish off the Groudon, but, Togekiss commonly carries the move Tailwind, or at least it has in the past. And so if, Andrew decides to, protect his Groudon, set up Tailwind, then he'll be outspeeding everything on Whitney's team, and so, that's a pretty good option for him if he wants to try to call Whitney's bluff, predict him to switch the Kyogre out into Amoonguss to reset the rain. He could get a Precipice Blades off, or possibly a Swords Dance or a Fire Punch, depending on his moveset.
Interesting that we're going to see a switch out from the Kyogre, I guess preserving the Pokemon so that you might be able to get that weather back up, but that's going to be a knockout onto the Togekiss, which means even if Tailwind was a part of the moveset, we're not going to see anything from Togekiss this round.
That's a pretty big turn for Whitney. A lot of Kartana not opting to run Smart Strike these days, but this one clearly does. It was able to finish off that Togekiss from a very high percentage of health. But, this Groudon did get a good chunk of damage off. The Leaf Blade from Kartana will definitely be able to finish off Groudon at this point, thanks to that attack boost. But we do see Solgaleo hit the field again, and if this is something like a Salt Vest Kartana, it likely carries knockoff as well, which will be able to knock out the Solgaleo. And so Andrew has to be a little bit careful here to not let this Kartana run away with the game.
Yeah, that Kartana could be an absolute nightmare for Andrew's team, but Andrew is still playing this very cautiously. We're seeing both of these players take a lot of time in making their decisions, thinking about what the other player is going to do and what they can do to counter that. I love that kind of thought. It's just really awesome to watch.
Yeah, no, I mean, it looked like Whitney was kind of in a bad position earlier when he lost that Xerneas so quickly, but he's done a very good job at turning it around. You know, he got that last turn absolutely correct. He decided to knock out the Togekiss before it could set up Tailwind.
Oh, and a Protect from the Solgaleo means that it's going to be sticking around for a couple more turns, at least. A Rage Powder again from the Amoonguss. It's just trying to bring all the attention to it. It's going to work this time because it can't get Sky Dropped. But it's not going to do anything against that Precipice Blade.
Very good turn for Andrew. You know, he called that target correctly. He bypassed the Rage Powder with their Precipice Blades, and it looks like both Amoonguss and Kartana are going to be in range for one more Precipice Blades, and so, you know, likely Whitney is losing a Pokemon this turn, whether it be, you know, both to a Precipice Blades, you know, maybe one to just a Sunsteel Strike. But that's the turn Andrew needed to get back into this game, because there's no way that both of these Pokemon on his end can be knocked out this turn. And so, you know, Whitney has to once again like pick one if he wants to threaten it.
Yeah, but it looks like that Groudon is actually going to be removed from the field, so no threat of Precipice Blades again. Tapu Koko just coming back out to reset the terrain. That's going to be a knockout onto the Solgaleo, meaning that's another bit of damage that is out from Andrew's pocket.
Yeah, that's a big knockout because, you know, he eliminates the threat of that Solgaleo. The Groudon has to come back in this turn, so that means the next time that Kyogre hits the field, the rain will be there to stay. And now this Kartana is at +2 attack, and so, you know, any attack it's going to be throwing out, and at least will be able to knock out both of these Pokemon easily. This Amoonguss, you know, likely not going to be able to do much this turn because we have seen that Tapu Koko does have Sky Drop. And so if Andrew wants to opt to Sky Drop the Kartana, there's not really much Whitney can do to stop that. But, you know, as we said, he does still have that Kyogre in the back. If it is holding that Choice Scarf item, this game is likely over.
Yeah, especially because we're going to see a reset from the weather as well, regardless of how Whitney's Pokemon get knocked out, whether or not that Kyogre gets switched in. Andrew's on his last two, which means that that Groudon is around to stay. You can't get the weather reset on Andrew's side anymore. We are going to see Whitney's Amoonguss going for another Rage Powder, and that Wild Charge finding its mark there will knock it out, which means that if Groudon went for a Precipice Blade, that Kartana's out of this fight too.
It is out of this fight unless it decides to Leaf Blade the Groudon. Now it goes for Koko instead. Oh. So the Koko will get knocked out. Kartana likely going to get knocked out by a Precipice Blades here, provided it hits, of course.
Right.
Kartana getting up to a +3 attack, so it's taken all 3 KOs this game. But it will finally meet its end to this Precipice Blade.
And it's not that much. It had, you know, very little leg to stand on at that point. So, but now we're coming down to a Groudon Kyogre matchup, and I think we both know which way this one's going to go.
Very likely, yeah. You know, especially if this is Choice Scarf Kyogre, this is a pretty free Water Spout. Even if the Kyogre is slower than the Groudon for some reason, Groudon won't be able to knock out Kyogre with just one attack, and so all Kyogre has to do is land, you know, one Water-type attack on this Groudon for this game to be over.
Yeah, and we're going to see whether or not there is speed in that Kyogre's favor, too. But Groudon's normally a pretty slow Pokemon, so we might not know just from this, you know, matchup whether or not that Kyogre is running that Choice Scarf that we were talking about.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You know, Groudon in this format generally going slower and bulkier, and so, you know, yeah, as we see, Kyogre is moving first, but there's no confirmation that it's a Choice Scarf yet, just because, you know, it's very likely that even if it's not Choice Scarf, it would still be outspeeding Groudon. That's a very good point.
Yeah, well, we are going to see that Whitney is going to take this. Yeah, I got real confused for a second there. But yeah, Whitney's going to take this very first set in this series, but it is best of 3 because that's what every single Swiss round in the first day of Pokemon is about. So we're going to see Andrew take another stab at this. Yeah,
no, Andrew definitely not out of it. You know, he has so much experience playing this game that, you know, I'm sure he's lost multiple game ones before and is able to come back and turn it around. And so, you know, Whitney played that game very well, even after a shaky start. And we'll see if Andrew is able to, replicate that good start, but also close it out at the end.
Yeah, and a lot of trainers would buckle after losing their kind of star so early, especially after getting a Geomancy off and then not really being able to do too much with it. But it seemed like Whitney was still very much in control, has probably played this matchup before and knew what to expect. Might have to sacrifice my Xerneas in order to get a better strategy off.
Right. One thing to know is that we did see Sunsteel Strike fail to knock out the Xerneas in one hit.
Yeah.
And so if Andrew wants to be able to take out the Xerneas in a more immediate fashion, if it is carrying that Searing Sunray Smash with the Solgallium Z, that is an option for him as well if he wants to be able to knock it out immediately.
Do you think that we're going to see Andrew bring that Togekiss again? Because it didn't seem to do a whole lot. Do you think that Andrew has a way to protect that Togekiss a little bit better against the team that Whitney is running? Or do you think just, hey, leave it, bring something else?
I think he has, it's not a bad option against this team. If that is the Choice Scarf Kyogre, he would love to have that speed advantage against it. The Tapu Koko, it'll be able to do a lot of damage to Kyogre if it is, in Tailwind, just because we did see that Wild Charge, likely able to knock it out in one hit. He had it in against Kartana, which, sometimes carries Smart Strike, sometimes doesn't, so it's a little bit of a toss-up. If it didn't have Smart Strike, Andrew was in a pretty great spot because he would have been able to get a Tailwind up that turn, but he just got the bad end of that stick.
Oh, but look at this. We're going to see some new Pokemon here. Whitney's going to start out with that Tapu Lele and the Excelgor that we were talking about before. There's that Seed as well, so that's going to be a very bulky Excelgor, meaning that Andrew might be in for a bit of trouble.
Yeah, so that's very smart on Whitney's end. Possibly knowing that, and Andrew would want to bring this Groudon Venusaur combination. He counters that with the Tapu Lele Excelgor. So the way that Venusaur makes its money in this format is outspeeding everything. It has that Chlorophyll ability, so its speed is boosted by the sun, and it's able to fire off some Slate Powders or some Sludge Bombs. But this Excelgor, as we see, will be able to outspeed it.
Wow, that's going to be one fast Pokemon. And that just means that we're going to see the special attack stats dropping for both Venusaur and Groudon. But that's a lot of damage onto the Tapu Lele. Maybe that... it's possible that could have been a knockout if that hadn't been...
Absolutely, that would have knocked out the Tapu Lele without the Struggle Bug. But, Whitney playing that very smartly, carrying that Struggle Bug, which lowers special attack for both of the targets, and he's able to knock out that Venusaur because the Tapu Lele did survive that Sludge Bomb. Unfortunately for Andrew, he does miss that Precipice Blades onto the Excelgor. Excelgor does resist Precipice Blades, so it wouldn't have knocked it out at all, but it would have done a sizable chunk. Excelgor not known for being the bulkiest Pokemon.
Yeah, it really makes up for it, though, in its attacking ability. So we are going to see Excelgor staying on the field, I think, for now. We are going to see a switch in, though, from both players because they did have a knockout on both sides. So Tapu Koko coming in for Andrew, and Whitney's going to bring in that Kyogre, which means that weather is going to start to rain. Yeah,
the rain is very nice here. So, again, it kind of comes down to the item on this Kyogre. If it is holding that Choice Scarf, it will be able to outspeed the Tapu Koko as well as the Groudon, which we saw it already outspeeds the last game. But this Excelgor is still faster than everything on the field. If it is carrying that Acid Spray attack, it'll be able to lower special defense on whatever target it hits. If it's carrying Final Gambit, it will likely be able to knock out the Tapu Koko or the Groudon with that strong Final Gambit, and there it is.
Ooh, that Final Gambit going to find its mark on the Solgaleo that got switched in, and not actually going to be an even trade here. So that Excelgor is going to sacrifice itself in order to bring that Solgaleo very low, but that Water Spout that's going to find its mark is going to finish the job. So you're going to see Whitney's Kyogre getting a little bit of revenge there.
Yeah, so once again, like Game 1, this Kyogre and the Groudon are stuck on the field because they're both, the last two Pokemon on each player's team. But Kyogre does have the speed advantage, the weather advantage against this Groudon. We already know it's faster than Groudon. Again, if it's holding this Choice Scarf, the game is over. If it's going to outspeed the Groudon and the Tapu Koko, it'll be able to fire off a Water Spout. In case Koko is carrying that Sash, it'll be able to survive one Water Spout, but it can't deal with the Kyogre and the Kartana at the same time. And so Whitney has positioned himself very well to take this game. The Excelgor dodging the Precipice Blades, it helped that Final Gambit was still at full power, but likely Final Gambit plus Water Spout would have been able to knock out the Solgaleo regardless, but it's actually not Choice Scarf Kyogre.
It isn't, because we would not see a Pokemon select and lock into Protect ever. So we are going to see that Kartana, though, finding its mark on the Tapu Koko, and the Precipice Blades coming out. Ooh, that's going to do a pretty decent chunk to that Kartana.
It looks like, yeah, I think last game we saw it doing under half both times, and so that possibly being a higher damage roll, it has the possibility to knock out this Kartana in another hit. And so a game that looked like it was over in Whitney's favor could very well go Andrew's way at this point. With that Wild Charge, if it hits this Kyogre, we'll be able to score a knockout as it does.
Yep, that's going to be a knockout, and that means that that Kyogre that we all thought that Whitney was going to be able to rely on to finish up this series is not going to be able to do so. But now it's Groudon versus Kartana.
Oh,
it survives. It does survive. And it has a berry on top of it, so that Pinch Berry going to be restoring a lot of health to that Groudon.
Oh,
but that miss.
No. Oh, that's huge.
Andrew had it.
He
now
did.
we know, though, that Whitney's Kartana is faster than that Groudon.
Right.
That's game. That has to be enough damage. But, Andrew, that is so unlucky.
That's heartbreaking. The Kyogre going down that turn meant that the Precipice Blades would have been firing off at full power and not seeing that spread reduction. And so it easily would have been able to knock out that Kartana and send Andrew to game 3. But, unfortunately, Precipice Blades does have that diabolical 85% accuracy. And so
I know.
Andrew getting that unlucky 15% chance to just lose the game outright.
It always happens to you. It never happens for you. It's always been my experience anyway.
Right.
But, congratulations to Whitney. That's a great start to today.
Absolutely.
That's some very, very strong Pokemon play so far.
Yeah.
And I think that sets the tone for what we're going to see for the rest of today's Swiss rounds.
Absolutely. No, Whitney played that very well. He knew exactly what he had to do to win that matchup. Getting a little bit lucky along the way, but there's no saying that he wouldn't have been able to play to the same strength in Game 3 had it gone there. And so, unfortunate break for Andrew, but we all know he's a strong player. He is very capable of bouncing back from this. So, congrats to Whitney for taking round 1.
Oh yeah, and that you're right about that. Is that Andrew does have another shot, because the one thing that we all love about Swiss rounds and the fact that it is best of 3 is that you get a lot of chances. You can lose a round or two, maybe 2. And still make it and still make it into top cut for tomorrow. So it is possible that we're going to see more of Andrew today, and we're definitely going to be seeing more of Whitney later on.
Right. Yeah. So it looks like we're going to be having a player interview with Whitney real soon. In the meantime, what did you think of those teams? I thought they were both pretty creative. The Excelgor came in very handy for Whitney in that game too.
I think that one of the reasons why Excelgor works so well is just because of the prediction that Whitney utilized in order to figure out what Andrew was going to be running first. I don't know if Excelgor would have been as useful had Whitney not predicted that Andrew was going to start out with Venusaur.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he played that game 2 very well from team preview.
Yeah.
Because, he saw what Andrew brought game 1. He saw that he might have to adjust to that Groudon Venusaur, and he brought his counterplay to it immediately. And so, very well adjusted. Typically we see the player that, lost game 1 adjust more than the player that won. But, both of these players decided to make a switch, and Whitney's paid off more.
Absolutely did. And we're going to go ahead and go to a short break. We're going to be bringing on Whitney very shortly to get his inside take on how that match went. So we'll see you guys real soon.
welcome back to Collinsville Regionals. We're here with the round 1 winner, Whitney Johnson. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, the end of that second game, a real nail biter.
Yeah. So, I could see reading the player, the way he was reacting. Once I KO'd his Solgaleo and his Groudon was stuck in against my Kyogre in rain, I could tell that he thought I was Scarf, just the way he was reacting. He thought the game was over.
We did too.
Right. And so, that turn that he wild charged into my Kyogre, I decided to use that information that I knew he thought I was Scarf. I tried to use that to my advantage. Okay, I can protect here. I don't know my damage calcs at all, so I was expecting that Leaf Blade to KO, and it didn't. So then I was like, oh no,
Right.
So, I said, I was trying to abuse that information advantage that I felt like I had to bait that free attack and get that damage off. But then, since I failed to get the KO, then I was in the same situation where he can freely KO my Kyogre. And so now I need to target down his Groudon, right? And Leaf Blade fails to KO, but then I get lucky with the Precipice Blades, So really, Drew should have taken that game, and RNG just bailed me out. But, I realized afterwards, I should have just let him wild charge my Kyogre, because then the recoil damage he would have taken before my Kartana attacked, and then the Leaf Blade would have been able to KO. I would have had the Beast Boost and would have been able to cleanly KO the Groudon. So going forward, that's some information I can kind of put in the back of my brain, to maybe play better and not have to rely on those misses.
But, well, hindsight's 2020.
So hopefully
I got the win.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your mix-up from Game 1 to Game 2.
Okay, yeah,
So you saw that Drew brought the 4 Pokemon he brought in Game 1. And you saw that your Kyogre was pretty important to your win. Did you expect that Groudon Venusaur, and is that why you brought the Lele Excelgor?
I did expect him to mix it up, and so that's why I went, I wanted Excelgor because it does really well against that Venusaur lead. It gets, let me KO it, and I'm totally fine making that trade of my Lele for his Venusaur there. Yeah. So I was fine with that, and again, there was that miss. But, I didn't expect him to lead with the same stuff as he did in Game 1, just because, Kartana was able to kind of come in and really clean up.
Right.
And I saw that he didn't have a whole lot of bulk on his Solgaleo, because normally +1 Sacred Sword isn't going to do 50% like that.
Right.
So, I realized it was a pretty offensive Solgaleo, and so I was like, if I have my Kyogre in the back, I don't feel like I need Xerneas. It didn't do a whole lot in Game 1, so, I could leave Xerneas behind. And I had a feeling, but I wasn't sure that he was going to lead with the Venudon lead. But I just feel like the Excelgor Lele is just a really safe lead against a lot of things. I can Final Gambit something, make it a free trade if I need to. Struggle Bug it's like Snarl but better because it can't miss. So there's a lot going on that I really liked with that lead. Specifically against this team, that I felt like it was a safe play.
Yeah, that Struggle Bug gave you a lot of options because, it allowed that Lele to survive that Sludge Bomb and get the Psychic off. Blade's Miss, it came in handy, but I feel like the miss wasn't as important that turn.
That first miss, I don't think it mattered because, when I Final Gambited, it still would have put that Solgaleo into range for Water Spout, so I don't think it made a big difference one way or the other, but it's still, it's bad on the Psyche, and, Drew kind of took that bad, so I feel for him,
Yeah, I know. But, you played well regardless. Game 1 was a masterclass. We thought we didn't think you were down and out, but you were not in a great spot after that turn 1.
Yeah, so in that turn 1 there, I really, I thought about protecting my Kyogre when it was on, or excuse me, my Xerneas when it was on 20 HP or something. But in my head, I thought that Drew was going to go for the Z move, just to KO through Protect, and so I was I'm going to go for this Moonblast just to get some damage off, and it did a lot more than I expected.
Yeah, that's what we said too.
It did put him in range to finish off later, which was really, so I'm glad that I did that. It worked out for me in that.
Yeah, no, after that turn 2 and you lost to Xerneas, at that point we were very impressed by the way that you kind of played from behind, because you were able to, from that turn on, you were pretty much in command the entire time, especially after you took that knockout on Togekiss.
Yeah, so getting that knockout, that really let Kartana start to snowball, right? Because by the end of the game, Kartana took 3 KOs, so it's going to deal damage, and that was really useful.
All right, well, congratulations once again.
Well, thank you.
We will be back very soon with round 2 here from Collinsville.
Can I just point this pin out?
You may.
Okay, so I picked this up I don't know if you can see it on stream, but it says GG Easy. I picked it up at an esports bar in Melbourne this last weekend.
That's cool.
You know, it was like a sports bar. They had like televisions. They were showing streams of everything. And so I was joking with Drew before this match. I was like, yeah, man, like, this is what's going to happen. I'm sorry. And then when game 2 happened the way it did, I felt bad, so I didn't antagonize him.
Right.
But so, yeah, all my opponents, watch out. You know, you're going to get hit with that GG easy. So.
Well, thank you. Good luck for the rest of your rounds.
All right,
we'll be back very soon for round 2.